What's happening on the planet right now is people are waking up to the fact that fear is not working any longer. Living in fear, living in anxiety is not working anymore. It's just not going to cut it. People are realizing that living in fear is just not going to work anymore. People are realizing that the old way of doing things is not working anymore. People are waking up to the truth of who they really are. People are waking up to the truth of who they really are. There is a massive shift in consciousness that's happening on the planet right now. Now, if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one to find clarity in your life purpose and what it is that you're really meant to be doing on this planet at this time, so you can live the life that you really want to live, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. Now, you got to realize that there's a huge shift in consciousness happening now. And the thing with the shift in consciousness is that it may not seem so pretty at first. At the beginning stages of an awakening, whether individually or collectively, there's adversity and challenge that arises. So certain things are going to come up that may not be the most comfortable. Okay, things start to arise that don't feel so good. Things start to arise where you don't necessarily want to look at those things. You want to run away from those things. You don't want to fully be in that discomfort. You want to find a way out. And people are realizing that the only way out is in. Okay, there's no other way to go out other than to go in, deeper into the fear, deeper into the anxieties. Now, I know how that sounds, but you got to realize that running away from fear is clearly not working anymore on the planet. It's clear we are being forced to look at the darkness, to shine light on the darkness. As much as we want to run away from our problems, it's so clear now the universe is showing us we can't run away any longer. You're forced to look at all those anxieties, all those fears, all those worries. But here's the thing, is that on the other side of those fears is a lightness, is a beautiful, powerful, empowered energy, but it doesn't seem like it when you're in the midst of that fear. Only when you get to the other side. Have you ever experienced it where something happens in life that's very adverse, and on the other side of that, you become a much more powerful person? You become much more empowered. You become much more aligned with who you really are. You become much more centered, much more grounded, much more aligned. All those fears are now gone. Those same fears that used to arise don't arise anymore because you process them. And that's what's happening on the planet right now. Collectively, people are processing all this fear that has not been processed, that's been buried under the rug, that has been literally buried under the rug. It's like you take a little broom and you sweep it under the rug. Now there's the cleaners coming in, cleaning the whole house, realizing all these things that were under the rug for years are coming up to the surface, okay? All that dirt under the rug coming up to the surface. We have to clean it out now, collectively. So what people are realizing is that the old way of being is not working anymore. Okay, so the old way of being, all the structures, the old way of thinking, the old way of doing things, the people that are in certain career paths are realizing that they don't like those career paths anymore. Some people are waking up that they don't like their jobs, right? I know that happened to me. I hated what I used to do. I used to think that I enjoyed what I did in school. I hated it. I was living on a lie. I was living on a lie built on my own ego and social conditioning. It was a complete lie. And when I woke up to that lie, it wasn't pretty at first. Now I'm in alignment with my purpose, with what I love to do. But it didn't seem like that was where I was headed when I realized that I hated school. To me, I just thought that I hated this and this is what I had to do forever. But you gotta realize that once you start to wake up, you become conscious of the things that aren't working anymore. That's part of waking up, is realizing the old way of doing things are not working any longer. And this happens at an individual level, but also at a collective level. So individually, people have woken up to the fact that they hate their jobs, that don't like relationships that they've been in, that certain things aren't working. But what's happening is that collectively, people are realizing this. Collectively, it's not just individual anymore. It's a collective awakening to the fact that old things aren't working anymore. Now, here's the most important thing to consider in this process is that this is not an external awakening. It's not an external realization that certain things on the outside aren't working. It's an internal realization that then brings you to realize certain things about the external world as well. But you got to realize our inner world creates our outer world. Okay, there's no separation. We are all one. We are all connected. As cliche as that might sound, there's literally no separation. Okay, we are all connected as one. And you got to realize that when you start to awaken, you realize that you are in alignment with certain things that don't work. And that can lead to things that don't seem so pretty. But that's how it has to be to get to the other side. So this is an internal thing where people are starting to become conscious internally that they're doing things they don't like, that certain friendships aren't working, and that's okay. It's completely okay to realize that you do not like what you do, because that leads to the lighter energy. That energy where you feel aligned, where you feel connected, where you feel like you're on your purpose, where there's no low vibration energy, it has to start with an awakening to the fact of certain things that don't work. That's how it starts. It has to start with the awakening of certain things that do not work, but then it leads to that light energy. Once again, have you had it where you realize things that don't work and then you get to something that works better? That's how it is. Now, people are realizing that living in fear isn't working anymore. So living in those lower vibrational energies, all those negative energies, people are realizing it doesn't work anymore. People are realizing that living in fear doesn't work. That's what happened to me. I realized that living in fear was unacceptable, that I couldn't live in fear anymore, that living in a job that I hated out of fear of my actual path not working was completely unacceptable. Okay, completely unacceptable. I realized that I could not accept any longer being in that job. Now, of course, I accepted that I was in that job, but then I left. Okay, I left that program. I left software. I left doing something that I hated because I realized that living in fear doesn't work anymore. And this is what a lot of people are realizing right now. This could mean a career path, this could mean a relationship. You gotta realize it's not about the external thing that it manifests as, it's just the internal energy that this thing is creating resistance in my life. That's the awakening, is realizing that this little thing here that I thought worked is creating resistance in my life and I don't want it anymore. And people are forced to see that. It's like the universe is giving us no choice. The universe is not giving people a choice. They are forced to see it whether they're ready or not. This is not a question of readiness. This is a question of, are you willing to look at it? Because it's going to be there, but you might not be willing to look at it. That's fine. It's still going to be there. It's still going to be there. You have to realize that living in fear is not working anymore. And that's what people are realizing. People are realizing that living in fear does not work anymore. Okay, it doesn't work anymore. It used to work. It served its purpose, right? Not saying that these things are bad objectively. Everything happens for a reason. Things happen in life where they work for a certain period of time and then they stop working. People are just realizing that there's a new way of doing things. Not to say that the old way of doing things wasn't great. It's not that, it had its problems. It was, not the best thing, these old structures, these old belief systems. But now people are realizing, hey, there's a better way to do things. Not that there's a right and a wrong way to do things, just a better way to do things. Because one of the things that I realized is that there's no wrong way to live life. Everybody has their own path. Everybody can live the life that they want. People are just realizing that they can live life on their terms. That's part of the awakening, is realizing you have the choice to live life how you really want it. That's part of the awakening. Rather than living life based on social conditioning, a life that somebody else chose for you, now people are realizing they can choose the path that they want. Living in fear, which comes from social conditioning, the ego, people are realizing that's not working anymore. It used to work, but now people are realizing, hey, I have a deeper calling. I have a deeper truth that I can follow. I can be more in alignment with who I am. I can be more connected with what it is that I really want to be doing right now on this planet. I can be more connected with my truth, not living a life of lies or deception, but living a life that you really wanna live. Now you gotta realize the time to follow your purpose is now, because the present moment is the only moment that exists. People think that they have time. That's the biggest issue. You do not have time. Time does not exist. Time literally does not exist. The only moment is now. Not just saying that to be motivational, literally the only moment that exists is now. The past and the future are concepts that only live in the mind. The time to follow your purpose is literally now. What greater time to follow your purpose than now, when you realize that the old way of doing things aren't actually working? So while people are all stuck in their houses living through this thing right now, the best thing you can do is follow your purpose. I know that sounds so motivational and cliche, but literally I'm talking from like a practical perspective. What better time to follow your purpose than now? Literally, what better purpose? Start an online business. Start the path that you really want. Start investing in people that you know are going to bring you closer to what you want. Start living that truth that you know you should have been living a while ago. And the only thing stopping you is the fear. Now, I know that sounds motivational and cliche, but that is literally the truth. I'm trying to make it relatable here. The time to follow your purpose is literally now. What better time to follow your true path than now? Not only because the present moment is the only moment that exists, also because literally what else are you doing with the time while you're locked up right now in these times? What else are you going to be doing? What's the alternative? Your purpose could be, Francis, you're thinking, Francis, I don't know my purpose. Well, part of your purpose could be to investigate those fears and to go deeper within yourself to then get in alignment with your purpose to find out later. Sometimes what I've noticed with my clients is that following your purpose doesn't always mean taking action and starting that business. It can mean to start and the commitment, not even the commitment to anything external, the commitment to yourself. The commitment of honesty that the old way of doing things aren't working anymore. To be honest with yourself, hey, this old way of doing things worked and it's just not working anymore. Like it's not that like it's gonna be so hard to let it go. It's just like, hey, it worked, it doesn't work anymore. It's time to move on to the next phase of life. Can you feel that's kind of what's happening right now, is that humanity is almost shifting to another phase. There's like a cycle of life that's coming. I believe, not just a belief, what I've noticed is that life moves in cycles, okay? And these cycles shift. And what's happening is that there's this cycle happening on the planet where it's just time to move on. It's time to move on. These things that used to worked, but it's just time to move on. That's all it really is. It's just time to move on. I know that for some of you, that's not easy to hear. I completely understand. We all go through this on the awakening path. We realize that certain things that worked just don't work anymore. That's okay. It's okay to move on. And if you have a job that you used to like, it's okay. Let it go. I'm not telling you what to do, because I'm never going to tell you what actions to take. I'm saying that if you feel in your heart that something doesn't feel right, investigate that. That could be part of your purpose, is to investigate that. Look a little bit deeper. Don't be afraid to realize that certain things aren't working anymore, because that's what kept people stuck for so long, which they're realizing is just living a life of lies. Don't be afraid to look at the fact that some things in your life that you used to enjoy, you don't enjoy anymore. Don't be afraid to look at all the negativity that's buried under the rug. Don't be afraid to look at that stuff, because that's what creates transformation and change. The first step is awareness, right? That's the only way. You can't let go of something unless you first become aware of it first. So when I was in school doing something that I hated, the first step was to be honest. To be honest, hey, I hate this program. Just be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself, because the more that you lie to yourself, the more that you stay stuck in something that you hate, you're just prolonging the inevitable. The inevitable of following what you really want to be doing. You got to realize that it's okay to bring up a little bit of past stuff. That's part of the process, right? And the more that you resist that, that's what's going to keep you stuck and not allow you to shift into those higher energy states. It's completely normal to go through those negativities, because once again, when you move through that negativity, get to the higher state, that's what I think is really happening right now on the planet, is people are just forced to look at all the crap. all the stuff that they're scared to look at. That's all it is. And so my invitation to you is, if you're scared to look at certain things within yourself, look at it. Don't be afraid to look at it, because on the other side of looking at that stuff is a higher energy, a much, much higher energy, a much more powerful and aligned energy that is the complete opposite of that lower vibrational state where we're stuck living a life that we hate based on social conditioning. There's a much better energy when you go through all those fears and you look at it, and that's what people are seeing. And the people that don't see that are going to suffer a lot. And I hate to say that, but that's the truth. Some people are suffering way more than they need to because they just aren't willing to look at that stuff. All that stuff. All you have to do is look at it. Just be honest. When you're honest with yourself, that's what allows the awakening to happen. When you remove the ego, when you humble yourself and you say, hey, I honestly don't like this. Or hey, I don't want to do this. Be honest. What do you really want to do with your life? Not what somebody wants you to do. What do you really want to be doing? What's the thing that you really want? Not what your parents want, not what your family wants, not what your friends want for you, not what you thought that you wanted for yourself because it's just the way that you've been thinking for years because, maybe school told you to go on this path. No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any path. Just want to get that out of the way. You can live life how you want. That's what I'm trying to say. If you want to go to school and live a normal life, then do that. Follow your heart. If you don't want to go to school and follow the path of your dreams, then do that. Part of awakening is realizing you can live life on your terms. There's no wrong way to live life. This is what a lot of people on the planet have a hard time understanding. There's no wrong way to live life. You can literally live the life that you really want and just do it. Just do it. It sounds so cliche, but literally, if you want to start a business and do it in some specific way, do that. There's no wrong way to live life. There's no wrong way to live life. It's just whatever you want. So I'm not going to stand here and tell you hey, you have to follow your purpose. No, you have that choice. You have that choice. I think that we all have free will to live the life that we really want, but that's what I'm trying to communicate to you here. I'm trying to communicate to you that that's the whole point of the awakening, is realizing you can live life how you want. And are you doing that? Are you actually living life how you want? Remember, tomorrow is not guaranteed, okay? Tomorrow's not guaranteed. Every single moment is sacred. So I'm going to conclude this video by sharing with you, every single moment is sacred. Every single moment's sacred. And we do not have time to waste living a life for other people. Okay, this is not about being selfish. This isn't about helping the world. It's in fact the opposite. This is about living life on your terms so that then you can actually help the world and actually serve the world in the way that you want. Not because somebody told you to do something, but because you want to help the world, because your cup is so full. You're at such a high vibration. You're so aligned with your truth that you naturally want to serve the world. That's what people are waking up to. Living life how they really want to. I mean, that's the biggest lesson that I've learned this year, is that there's no wrong way to live life. So that's kind of why I wanted to share that with you, because I want you to understand literally there's no wrong way to live life. You can choose it how you want it. You want to go to school, you want to become a doctor, you want to become a lawyer, do you want to drop out of school and become a full-time YouTuber? Do you want to become an artist? Do you want to start a business and do this? Do you want to start the possibilities are endless, and that can create anxiety for some people as well, because you can do that. But you got to realize, this is the last piece of advice I'll give you before I let you go. Don't be afraid to go within and look at the darkness and bring light to that, because when you bring light to all that stuff deep inside yourself, you know what it is that you really want. I know it sounds so cliche, but when I started meditating and really investigating all those fears, it's just a matter of honesty. That's really all it is. It's just being honest with yourself and being aware of what you want. And I think that's the main theme of this video, is just honesty and bringing stuff up to the surface, right? Because if you're at home right now, which is pretty much every single person on the planet, what they're realizing is that they have to look at all that stuff. That's all it is. Look at the stuff. Don't be afraid to look at the stuff, okay? The time to live the life that you really want is right now. And so that's all I have for this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one to find clarity in your life purpose and what it is that you really want to be doing on this planet at this time, not what society wants you, what you really want, what your soul's purpose really is, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation so you can live the life that you really want and the life that you really want for yourself. Now, as always, have yourself a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.